Almost 1,000 yards in the last 2 weeks of total offense, but really where their bread and butter is in the passing game, and a guy named Rowbottom. Casey Rowbottom, the Conference USA Offensive Player of the Week. He had 10 catches for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns against the UTEP Miners this last week. It was a 10-point upset win over the Miners for Tulane in El Paso. He's on pace for a 1,000-yard season. He's going to be a handful for a beat-up SMU secondary today.
So the obvious question is, what are the keys to today's game? They're brought to you by Lexus and your local Lexus dealers. Visit us today at Lexus.com. Dave?
You got to run the ball. Mustangs have the top runner in the conference in Zach Line, and games that Tulane has had the worst problems when they give up big runs. Army stacked up 312 yards on these guys running the ball. They also got to create defensive turnovers. SMU last year at this time was +7. Now they're -7. A huge turnaround right there. Got to wrap up Tulane runners. That's exactly where SMU got into trouble last week against Houston. A lot of broken tackles. And you got to eliminate special teams mistakes. And in a close game, Matt Szymanski's going to have a big role in this one as the field goal kicker and the punter for the Ponies.
No doubt about this one. It could be a very explosive ball game. We invite you to join us for SMU and Tulane coming up here on the 33. When we return, we'll be ready for the kickoff to today's game, so stay with us.
Ryan Griffin's the starting quarterback for Tulane. He's had quite a year, considering he's just a sophomore and what he's been able to do here. He does have 4 interceptions on the season, but that's outweighed by the 7 touchdowns. He's a very accurate quarterback.
Personal foul, number 23 defense. 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
There were 2 areas June Jones told me before the game they want to stay away from: penalties and turnovers. And now SMU has a turnover in every single game of the season. Zach Line only had the football with one hand as he was rushing, and he didn't cover it up. And, you know, that's critical when you get inside the red zone to protect as best as you possibly can. The Mustangs have a turnover in every single game this year. This is their 9th game, and they have at least 1 turnover per game. You can't have that and have winning records. Had 326 yards coming into this ball game. Let his feet do the talking for him. He's got out of 1 tackle. Couldn't quite get out of the 2nd tackle and out of the arms of Austin Jacks, who was the man who recovered the fumble for Tulane on SMU's first drive. Well, I didn't see him at the hotel, but when the doors of the elevator was open and this lady walked out completely decked out, and I don't know what it was, I had to take another elevator. Very little pressure at all by Tulane once again. They're playing it safe, try to sit back and not let the Mustang speedy receivers beat them deep. They'll be happy to give up 2 and 3 and 4 yard plays. They just don't want to get beat deep. And so far, Padron has not been on the same page with his receivers as far as hitting them deep, so not much for the Tulane defense to worry about so far. 100 rushing yards has to be a concern right now for June Jones. His defense has only allowed 138 yards a game, and Tulane's already at 100. And the Green Wave get terrific field position to start their drive. Ball pops out. He did protect this time with 2 arms, but watch at the end here.
They tackle the football there.
Yeah. Ryan Travis just ripped it out of his hand. Pulls it out. That doesn't happen too often with Zach either. You know, those fumbles just take the air out of you.
Sure they do.
As a football team. You know, just when you start moving the ball just a little bit, and then the fumble happens. These linemen, you know, they don't quite want to work quite as hard the next time if they think the fumble's going to be happening. And when you're down 2 in a game as far as fumbles go and turnovers go, that's tough. You know, this secondary for SMU is so beat up. They have 2 players injured, and they have 2 academically ineligible. So when you have 4 cornerbacks that are out, you got guys who are trying as hard as they possibly can. He had his eye on the ball, but just interfered with Grant just a little bit too much. You know, this SMU team is a tired bunch. It's sad to say that 8 games into a season, but they just don't have the numbers. And June Jones, in fact, went without pads in practice this week because they were so exhausted. And here they are showing their exhaustion here just early in the 2nd quarter. Well, that was the Malachi crunch, wasn't it? Robinson slow to get up. Smith and Kendrick Washington come in and give him the old 1-2. Right in the back and right in the chest.
Yeah, if you didn't like the pop in the back, here comes one in the chest. Listen to the sound.
That hurts. Very unfortunate that the Mustangs drove their first possession down there and fumbled the football. I mean, that really set the tone for the first half as far as SMU's offense goes, and they were never really able to recover from that. Ended up kicking one field goal, and that's all they have to show for the first half. June Jones is probably telling the guys, you know what? It's only a 4-point game right now. We come back out, we stop them first because Tulane's going to get the ball to start the second half. We stop them there, we get a little momentum on defense, go down there and score, and this thing's a different ball game. Brought to you by AT&T UVerse. Find out what's possible at AT&T.com. AT&T, rethink possible. And Darkwa has just been dominating the SMU defense, especially in the first half. 19 carries, 154 yards, averaging 8 yards per carry. He did get hurt here early in the third quarter, but he was just running on the sideline, so it looks like he'll be back in the game sometime soon. It's always nice to turn on the TV at Christmas time and see a football game, and especially one that involves the Dallas Cowboys. Well, you can do that right here on the 33 Christmas night. Kickoff at 6:30 p.m., but we have a whole bunch of pregame coverage for you starting at 5 o'clock. Cowboy Christmas. We'll have a pregame show and a postgame show. It comes all your way on Christmas night here on the 33. Well, the Mustangs really need to put together a good drive here. Maybe it stopped on that play, maybe it didn't, but they had a 74-yard drive to start the game, and of course, a fumble ended that one. Since then, they had one go for 17, 35, 57, which resulted in a field goal, 30, and 19 yards. That's not what it takes to beat a Tulane team on the road. You've got to get some drives going. Boy, you would never expect Urienga to miss a wide-open tackle like that.
They needed 8, they got 7.
He's been one of the most reliable tacklers for the Mustangs, and he just grabbed him on the shoulder pads and spun right out of it. That's a tough one. Well, Cole better be honest with his coach at this point.
Yeah.
Because if this is going to cost them a timeout in a close game where they might need it in the fourth quarter, he better be sure of it. Down.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, you're down 14. 2.5 to go in the third quarter. You still got the entire second half. And this would be huge if he could break loose here. But with SMU, though, it's still his possibility with this offense. It's still a possibility they get back in this game. Take a look at this late pressure that was coming in on him. And he was hit as he threw the ball, and just out of the reach of Cole. See, there's a reason that they colored those seats like that.
So they'd look better?
It makes it look like fans. And, you know, the Saints used to have to worry about that.
That's right.
Not getting enough people in here. Tulane always has to worry about that, I believe. But the Saints used to. Of course, every seat's full for the Saints game now. And they have a big one tomorrow night against the Steelers here. Well, look at his determination here. Great read. As he just saw that things were clogged up the middle, took 2 steps to the left, and had to churn to get into the end zone to pull within a point. Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing. The difference right now for the Mustangs is that these linemen are getting off their blocks. Look at Thompson come around.
Right.
He beat his man one-on-one, and when you win those one-on-one matchups, it makes all the difference in the world. Watch him beat his man just on the left of your screen right there.
Never really allowed Darkwa a chance.
Not at all.
3rd and 7 for Tulane.
That was just a perfect pass by Padron. He outthrew 2 Tulane defenders, put it right in Robinson's hands, and those two have not been on the same page at all today. Padron has just thrown high over Robinson's hands 3 times, actually.
Previous play, under review.
And when the officials are reviewing it, we'll take another look at it.
Here's the ball.
Right there, that left, well, there's a couple there that are close.
Let's take a look from the end zone angle here. See if his left foot as he turns steps out of bounds here. Not that one.
No.
Not that one. Not that one.
No, he's good. He's good. He is good.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Well, a few minutes ago, probably about midway through the quarter, we were about to anoint Zach Line player of the game, but I think we could safely do that now. Don't you think so?
I got no problem with that.
He's our Shell player of the game, helping to meet the world's energy needs for over a century. Shell.
And Zach over 170 yards rushing this afternoon. 2 touchdowns. It's a huge game for Zach Line.
top rusher in Conference USA, and I have a feeling he'll be getting some hardware from the conference this week, unless someone else has a huge rushing day. Now had Darkwa and Tulane won this game, he had that one in the bag, but it looks like Zach Line is going to be the one that's going to benefit from that award this week. And you know, the Mustangs are very lucky to be getting out of here with a victory. They turned the ball over 3 times today. 2 of them leading to Tulane's points. So Tulane only turned it over once. You know, Tulane has the advantage in penalties. They only had 4, and the Mustangs 5. So the Mustangs are very fortunate to be getting out of here with a victory after getting those big plays. This will break a 2-game losing streak. The Mustangs needed this one big time. Put them at 5-4 on the season. And, you know, just as important to win this Conference USA game on the road. Doesn't happen too much in this conference. And to pull off a big road victory to offset the loss at home to Houston this last week, that's a big one. And it keeps the Mustangs in a tie for first in Conference USA. One thing, Alan, that's the 5th win for SMU. Now they have 3 cracks at getting to 6 wins and bowl eligible. They play at UTEP coming up, Marshall at home, and at East Carolina.
Well, that'll do it for us. The Mustangs whip Tulane 31-17. So long, everybody.
This has been a special presentation of the 33 Sports.